Hey guys, I just realized that I'm wearing my Supermom shirt, which I contemplated changing, but it's kind of appropriate for this video today. It not only says Supermom, though it also says Super Wife and Super Tired. I think the shirt's hilarious and that's why I wear it. I am getting into parenting topics today. Ashley said that she has a 16-month-old who has been an angel until now. Real world videos. I felt like this kind of went along with it. I used to think that being a parent isn't that hard. Most of my expectations are not happening. Sometimes I get frustrated and discouraged. I want to be a cool mom without being permissive. It's tough. It is so tough being a parent because kids will test the limit. Totally natural. It's not just your kid that's doing this. Every kid wants to know what their boundaries are and wants to know that you are going to follow through with what you say. When I was in college, I babysat 2 girls for the weekend overnight. We were thinking it would be fun to rent a movie. Every single movie they had already seen. I was just baffled. I turned to the oldest one, how have you seen every single one of these movies? She flat out told me, we just fuss until our mom gives it to us. Kids are smart. They know how to work the system. Rob Rienow, he has a ministry called Visionary Family. He has a video about not being consistent. I forgot who it was that did the study of like random reward of the mice of like they press it once and they get the treat. They have to press it twice to get the treat. They had to press it 3 times and then it goes back to 1 and then sometimes it's 10. When a kid doesn't know how many times they have to ask or how many times they have to fuss before they finally get what they want, or they don't know when mom says no, that's the answer. They're gonna fuss, they're gonna whine, they're gonna push those buttons. Especially at a 16-month-old, as a toddler, it's heartbreaking whenever you see that sin nature come out. Something that I always have to remember is I have to tell myself, like, this isn't personal against me. I am here to train them because them obeying me is not the final thing. It's us teaching them how to ultimately obey God. Whenever they're an adult like us, there's nobody else holding them accountable and making sure that they're obeying and doing what they should be doing. Become adults and have kids that have to train them into this. And so we have to be diligent. Another story, when I was in college and doing my student teaching, our class, I was student teaching in kindergarten for this one, and the class was just unruly one day. Everybody was just like bonkers, bouncing off the walls. I finally, when it was work time, had to lay down the law and said, okay, whoever speaks next is gonna have to move their mark from green to yellow. Everybody had a stoplight and that was your conduct for the day. It crushed me. The person that spoke next was the most well-behaved kid overall in that class. I had to follow through. And it's the same thing with my kids. I don't want to have to discipline them. I don't want to have to be the one to lay down the law and da-da-da-da-da, because it's not fun, especially when it's on a hard day. But they need our love. Back to the girls that I babysat, when there were issues and they were fighting or bickering or whining, I had learned timeout works really well for kids, and you do 1 minute for however many years old they are. And so that's what I practiced, and I sent them to their room for only the amount of minutes of however old they were. And at the end of that time, came in there and said, okay, your timeout's up. You can come out whenever you would like. And the whole time in their timeout, they're like so upset, and they would stay in there for a couple more minutes longer than their timeout had to. I was just thinking at the end of this, like, they're so gonna hate me. When it came time for me to leave, they gave me the biggest hug and they asked me to come again. Sometimes kids just need to know that there's boundaries and that there's someone that's gonna stick up and say, no, this is what goes on. We are the #1, as well as our husbands, to teach them. And that's something that I have to remind myself too, is like, why don't you know this? I'm like, oh yeah, you're a little kid and nobody's taught you before. That's my responsibility. And discipline for me, like, it sounds like such a negative word, but it's not negative. Like, it's a good thing to have the discipline. And because, I mean, that's my biggest thing, I feel like, for this year that I'm working on, is my own self-discipline. There's so many different areas that I need to work on, and it's a good thing. And that's why I'm working on it, because I need to get better at different things. And so it's not just a negative of always punishing your kids. That's different. Punishing is totally different than discipline. Discipline is the positive that you're training your kids in. Punishment is what comes whenever they disobey. Also remember that there's a lot of times that it's appropriate to show them grace and teach them what grace is and teach them what mercy is. Such an important job, and it's difficult and it's hard, but it is so worth it. And there's a scripture that I wanted to read that went along with this. This is Hebrews 12, starting at verse 5. And have you forgotten the encouraging words God spoke to you as his children? He said, "My child, don't make light of the Lord's discipline, and don't give up when he corrects you. For the Lord disciplines those he loves, and he punishes each one he accepts as his child. As you endure his divine discipline, remember that God is treating you as his own children. Who ever heard of a child who is never disciplined by his father? If God doesn't discipline you as he does all of his children, it means that you are illegitimate and are not really his children at all." Skipping down to verse 11. "No discipline is enjoyable while it's happening. It's painful, but afterward there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way." And just now reading that, I've kind of switched this, because usually when I've used this of like when I'm training, I actually had this like plastered in front of my treadmill many years ago. And I just meditated on this. It's like, discipline is not enjoyable, but there will be a peaceful harvest of right living. But just now reading this, like, no discipline is enjoyable while it's happening. It's not enjoyable to have to discipline your kids. It's painful. It hurts to have to follow through with something that you said. And that's a big key too, is not making empty threats. Like, whatever you say has to be something that you can follow through with. But afterward, there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way. And that's really encouraging to me. I've never put this to parenting before. But a peaceful harvest of right living. Like, that's what our goal is. These kids are so little and they are so moldable right now. We have a great responsibility to them. We are setting them up for a peaceful living later on in their life whenever they're an adult. I'm encouraged by this. I'm gonna have to write out this verse for myself for a reminder of why we're doing this. I do know that the biggest difference that we're gonna make in our kids' lives is praying for them and just giving them up to God and saying, you know what, Lord, like, you're the ultimate one and you're the one that has to get their heart. And that's my biggest prayer for my kids. I have prayed many, many times, Lord, please do not let me get in the way of my kids and you, because I know I'm very good at that. Comment below and encourage each other in this. Let me know if you have any other questions that you want me to talk about. I'm so excited that I have a list of questions from you guys, and I'm continuing to add whatever questions that were asked in the last video. I've added them to my list and I can't wait to get to them. I'll see you guys in the comments this week. I'll be better at commenting back to you, and I'll see you next week. Bye.